So my wife just told me she needs to find out if size really matters. This is the story of the most terrifying and honestly, most hilarious week of my life. It's about the frantic investigation that followed and the surprising discovery that might just save your relationship too. It all started on a Tuesday. Tuesdays are for tacos. This one, apparently, was for existential dread. We were just sitting on the couch, scrolling through our phones in that comfortable silence only married couples can master. She chuckled at her phone, and then, without even looking up, she dropped the bomb. "You know," she said, as casually as if she were commenting on the weather, "I've always been curious. I feel like I need to find out if big size asterisk really asterisk matters." And then she went right back to watching a cat fall off a chair. I, on the other hand, forgot how to breathe. My whole world just shrank. Find out? Find out. What does that even mean? Is that a threat? A research proposal? Was she planning on conducting field work? My mind, usually a pretty calm place, suddenly became a catastrophe zone with sirens blaring. I spiraled. Hard. All of a sudden, every action hero in every movie felt like a personal attack. Every statue by Michelangelo was just showing off. I started side-eyeing my old He-Man action figures. Was he asterisk, really asterisk, the master of the universe? Or was he just, compensating? This is the rabbit hole of male insecurity. And let me tell you, it is deep, dark, and probably decorated with posters that set completely unrealistic expectations. For 48 hours, I was a wreck. I'd be in a work meeting and suddenly worry if my voice sounded smaller. I'd see a bus drive by and think, now that's a big bus. Everything was a metaphor. This quiet, offhand comment from the love of my life had poked a primal fear I didn't even know I had. The fear of not being enough, of being judged, of failing a pop quiz I didn't even know I was taking. I was a walking cliché of male anxiety, and something had to give. I couldn't live in this silent panic. I had to talk to her. I had to know what finding out actually meant. Trying to bring this up was like trying to defuse a bomb that only I could hear ticking. How do you even start that conversation? "Honey, about your new side hustle as a sex researcher." Just didn't feel right. I finally cornered her in the kitchen while she was getting a glass of water, blocking her path like a nervous troll guarding a very weird bridge. "We need to talk," I said, with all the drama of a bad soap opera. She just raised an eyebrow. "About your new habit of staring at bananas with a look of profound sadness?" Okay, fair point. So I just laid it all out. The comment, the spiraling, the He-Man crisis, the whole pathetic, ridiculous journey my brain had taken. And to her credit, after she finished laughing, which I tried very hard not to take personally, she saw how genuinely rattled I was. She explained it wasn't some hidden threat. She'd been reading an article online, fell into a comment section debate, and it just sparked a genuine, almost academic curiosity in her. That's when the tension broke and a new idea surfaced. A ridiculous, brilliant, perfectly asterisk idea. "Well," she said, with a mischievous glint in her eye, "if you're so worried, and I'm so curious, why don't we find out together? Let's make it a project, a scientific investigation. We'll be the myth-busters of a mediocre-sized myth." And just like that, my week-long horror movie turned into a quirky, romantic comedy. We were a team again, and Operation Does Size Matter was on. Our scientific process began, as all great research does, with complete and utter nonsense. Phase 1 was all about anecdotal evidence. a fancy term for watching movies and making things up. We rewatched that scene from Boogie Nights for data analysis. We had a serious debate over whether the endowment joke in Austin Powers was a realistic portrayal of public perception. At one point, I tried to interview a friend about his experiences. This friend looked suspiciously like me, wearing a fake mustache and a terrible accent. My wife was not fooled. "So, Mr. Not My Husband," she'd say, playing along, "tell us more about your findings." This whole phase was filled with laughter. It was absurd, and it was exactly what we needed. We were taking this huge, scary insecurity and shining such a bright, ridiculous light on it that it started to feel smaller. But after a few days of what we were generously calling cultural research, we realized we hadn't learned a single verifiable fact. We just confirmed that pop culture loves to hype up the importance of size, creating expectations that don't really match reality. We were swimming in myths. It was time for phase 2, to find some real data. This is where things got fascinating. We traded movie nights for evenings on our laptops, digging into actual psychological studies and peer-reviewed articles. And what we found was staggering. That whole cultural story we've been sold our entire lives, it's mostly a lie. The first bombshell was what I'm calling the satisfaction gap. We learned that in large-scale surveys, a consistent pattern emerges. While a staggering 85% of women report being satisfied with their partner's size, only around 55% of men are satisfied with their own. Let that sink in. The vast majority of women are perfectly happy, while nearly half of men are walking around wishing they were different. The insecurity isn't coming from our partners. It's coming from inside our own heads, fueled by a social construct, not a biological reality. Then we fell down the rabbit hole of the girth versus length debate. We found multiple studies, including well-known ones from 2001 and 2015, showing that when women have a physical preference, it often leans toward width or girth over length. The sensation of fullness was often cited as more important for satisfaction. So, though one metric that society obsesses over, length, might not even be the most important factor to begin with. The nuance just kept coming. One brilliant study used 3D printed models to get more specific about preferences. It found a really telling pattern. For a one-time partner, women's average preference skewed slightly larger. But for a long-term, committed partner, the preference was for a size that was, well, more average. In the context of a real relationship, things like comfort and connection start to matter more than pure novelty. Isn't that wild? It's like finding out the monster under your bed is just a pile of laundry. It seems the pressure so many men feel is based on a massive misunderstanding of what actually matters. If you've ever felt this pressure or gone down a similar rabbit hole, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, because we are all in this together. Now, back to the lab. Armed with all this data, a funny thing happened. The original question, the one that sent me spiraling, started to feel small. It wasn't the center of our universe anymore. The investigation itself had become the point. But I still needed to know. What was the real story behind her comment? So, one night over our own Taco Tuesday, I asked her, "Okay, so science says it's not a huge deal. But what do you say? What was really going on when you said you needed to find out?" She put down her taco and gave me a look that was both loving and a little exasperated. She pulled up the article on her phone that started it all. It wasn't about size, it was about communication. The article's point was that couples are often terrified to talk about their preferences and insecurities, and that this silence is way more damaging than any physical reality. Her comment, "I need to find out if it matters," was a poorly phrased thought bubble that really meant, I wonder if other couples are as weird about talking about this stuff as we are. The experiment she wanted was a conversational one. She was curious about the taboo itself. My insecurity hijacked her innocent thought and twisted it into a personal threat. The big reveal of our experiment wasn't about physical dimensions. It was that we had a communication problem. And our ridiculous, scientific, hilarious investigation was, completely by accident, the very thing that fixed it. Our week-long journey into the heart of male insecurity taught us what all those studies confirmed. In a loving, long-term relationship, size is one of the least important factors. Emotional intimacy, communication, trust, and a shared sense of humor, those are the things that have actual size. Those are the things that create real, lasting satisfaction. Our little crisis forced us to talk, to be vulnerable, and to team up against a cultural myth instead of letting it tear us apart. We took a moment of deep insecurity and turned it into a project that brought us closer than ever. The anxiety men feel about this is real, and it's tied to deep fears about identity and masculinity. But the solution isn't to change our bodies. It's to change the story we're all telling ourselves. The story we've been sold is just wrong. The truth is, your partner chose you, all of you. And a partner who truly cares isn't coming at you with a ruler. They're choosing you for the connection you share. What started with a terrifying comment ended up being one of the best things that's ever happened to our relationship. We debunked a myth, sure, but we also built a whole new level of trust. We found out that the real thing that matters is being able to look at each other, laugh, and say, "Okay, let's figure this out together." Now I want to hear your stories. What's the most ridiculous relationship myth you've ever had to debunk? Drop a comment below and share your wisdom. And if you enjoyed this little adventure in overthinking, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.